Hello, sweet parents. Welcome to the When Our Adult Children Walk Away podcast. My name is Dr. Janet Steinkamp, and during each episode of When Our Adult Children Walk Away, I will provide my professional and personal insights, information and opportunities for your self-reflection and growth, tips and tricks to make every day count, and encouragement to keep moving forward. I'm here to help you dig deep and get down to the root causes so that you can find your way out of the darkness to a positive and lasting relationship. Grab your notebook and a pen, settle into your favorite chair, and let's get to it. Today, in this episode, we are exploring how self-reflection not only strengthens you as a parent, but it also helps see your relationship through your adult child's eyes, to get their perspective, understand how they see you, what they hear, how your communication lands with them. The goal of this is to understand how we communicate and how effective we are or ineffective in expressing our intent. Are we sending messages that can land in a way that we intend? Are we perceived in the way we intend to be perceived? Understanding how our adult children experience us is especially important in times of distance, when things are rocky, and even when they are distant because of geographical barriers. We have very little time to make an impact, to communicate, and when things go south, to repair. So if you are ready to rebuild some calm and clarity with compassion, listen into this episode. And you're also welcome to visit the When Our Adult Children Walk Away website to schedule an appointment with me, and we can dig into this further in your particular circumstances. So let's dig into this topic and talk about why self-reflection really matters. When our relationship with our adult child is strained, or even when it's broken, regardless of where we are on that continuum of estrangement, it's really natural to want to just go right at it, fix things, figure it out, understand what's going on, understand what happened. Why did they pull away? What did we do wrong? What went wrong? We get sometimes pretty tenacious. And why not? That's what we were taught when we were raising these people as children. We didn't ignore. We didn't let them go to sleep sad or lonely or quiet. We talked with them about what was going wrong. Now things have evolved. Because our children are now adults, we need to slow that down and reflect on ourselves, figure out what our truth is first. Where's that kernel of truth? Where do we think things went wrong? And then think about what might be needed to repair the situation. Too often I hear from parents, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden they were just gone. Well, maybe that's true. There are certainly situations and circumstances where that is true. However, more often than that, when we sit down and really look at what happened, consider how the conversation went, consider tone and affect and word choice, pace, our emotional state, sometimes we can find where things went south. Sometimes we can separate what we know happened to us and what we brought to the conversation. What happened in what we communicated to our adult children. Self-reflection helps us understand not just what's happening to us, but also what's happening between us. This is critical information to have when we are trying to understand what's happened, figure out what needs to happen to move forward, and how we can repair the situation. So a note, I want to reiterate from other podcasts, I say this in every podcast episode, by us taking responsibility for our behavior, for our actions, for our words, we are not saying that our adult child bears no responsibility. They do. In every conversation where there are two people, both people bring something to the conversation. The misunderstanding, the miscommunication, the misperception. We all contribute. It doesn't matter how many people are in the conversation. The more people, the more complex, because there are more people contributing. But in our relationship with our adult child, we want that relationship to be clear and clean and be able to sort through all the exterior influences and focus on our communication with our adult child and between us. So let's walk through some areas of reflection. Now, I want to make a note here. I am a concrete sequential thinker. So when I hear words like reflection, they sound really fluffy to me. It's difficult for me to take that seriously. So I want to clarify, I do think that this is really important. It is critical that we look back and assess ourselves, if that's a better word, to reflect or to consider how we spoke, our behavior, and all the things I just mentioned. I think reflection is critically important, not in a metaphysical way, in a concrete way, to look at ourselves, take stock of ourselves, and keep ourselves accountable to our own contributions to a disconnect, to an estrangement. Again, that doesn't mean our son or daughter isn't also responsible. It just means we're going to own our stuff. From the adult child's perspective, that means that when we want to fix and remind and rescue, it can feel to them like they're being managed and not trusted. We need to slow down our intensity in order to communicate, demonstrate, role model constraint, restraint, self-control, emotional regulation. And by doing that, by virtue of modeling that, it gives our adult children room to behave similarly. It doesn't mean they're going to. It means that if we can stay steady in that, they will be compelled to move in that direction as well. Telling them that they need to do that is counterproductive. It's instructional, it's demeaning, it's insulting, it insinuates or even says directly that we don't think they're able to do those things without us telling them to. Our adult children know when they are emotionally dysregulated, just like we do. Doesn't mean we can control it in that moment, but it does mean that we can trust they know. We can trust that they will come to that realization, and more quickly through our demonstration than our telling them. We need to recognize our own patterns. You might ask yourself, have I trained my child to expect me to say yes or to solve things for them? My son says to me, Mom, we teach people how to treat us. We teach people what to expect from us. Similarly, we teach our adult children to expect when we're going to apply guilt, when we're going to apply pressure, when we're going to question them, insinuate they're not trustworthy or able to be an adult. And because of that, because we've taught them that through our actions, they may begin to pull away. They may begin to limit our access to their most private world. They stop talking to us about things at work. They stop talking to us about things in their family, their children, their relationships. They stop confiding or trusting us with information. So when I hear parents talking about, I don't know why they stopped talking to me about these things, that's one consideration that pops to mind. Have you given them reason to stop? Indirectly, unintentionally, and without ill intent. From an adult child's perspective, they may be asking themselves things like this. I get confused when my parents always giving in. I feel guilty, but I feel pressured. It's this weird combination. We hear that from people in our research. I can't say no either way. I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't. If I allow them to give in and give me things, their attention, their time, their money, their gifts, then I feel guilty by taking them because I may not really need them. but I feel pressured to take them. It's this odd schizophrenic experience. That's how our adult children might be experiencing us. We say, I'm not going to give you money anymore. I can't afford it. And then the first time it looks like they might need financial help, we try to bail them out. We offer money. So which is it? We need to understand our motives and act with intention and in a way that our adult children can trust. We say things that we mean, and we act in ways that support what we've said. In order to do that, it's important that we understand our needs and our limits, truly understand them. What do I need versus what do I want? Am I looking for respect, appreciation, closeness? Am I asking for them to create boundaries? Give me a boundary so I know where I stand. Tell me when it's too late to call at night, and then I as a parent need to respect that. Tell me what questions I can ask. When am I digging into personal information that you're not comfortable sharing? What is the boundary? We can ask those questions. We don't have to hit them over the head with it. We can be curious. We can be subtle. We can use a sense of humor. Now, I'm not talking about cynicism or skepticism. I'm talking about true humor. We can ask things like, what of my behaviors are upsetting to you? Please tell me. And then the goal is to listen, not explain, not defend, but to listen. Thank them for sharing the information. Let them know we're taking that on board and we're going to reflect on that. We're going to take that to heart and give it some thought. And offer, is it okay if I come back to you if I still need clarification or if I feel like there's something that it would be helpful to talk about? Ask if it's okay. Most often the answer will be sure. And then we have to be respectful when we do it. Dialogue, curiosity, gathering information gets us much further in earning trust than telling, instructing, advising when it's not invited, giving our opinion when it's not invited, giving our horror stories from our own past. We need to keep those things to a minimum. That's not our role. We're talking to adults now. We are interacting with adults. Are those things that we would say to our best friend? Maybe. It's a different relationship. Are those things, is that kind of approach, is that sort of communication what we see the in-laws doing or our adult children's other friends or other family members? Maybe. Those are different relationships. What we know when we are on the continuum of estrangement is that things are going sideways for reasons. We need to figure out what those reasons are. We need to be able to collect information and data. We need to be able to integrate that into what we think we know, our perspective, and consider we may not know as much as we think we do. Another thing that we can do in order to understand ourselves better is learn about our own emotional triggers. What ticks us off? What sets us off? I cannot go to the Home Depot paint department without coming home frustrated. So that's where I do most of my practicing. My self-talk before I walk in. I clarify with myself how I'm going to go about getting the paint that I need, the color that I need, the brush that I need, whatever it is that I need. I have a plan when I walk in the door. If the plan starts to go sideways, I go take a walk. And then when I catch my breath, I go back to the paint department. It's usually really busy, so I can watch and observe and time when I interject. I know if they're busy, I need to keep things short and sweet and get to my question. I can manage and practice my communication skills in the paint department at Home Depot. Now you have to find where you are triggered most, what sets you off, and then practice. Prepare. Go into those conversations mentally prepared with a plan and practice. We know from the smoking cessation research out of the 70s that behavioral change takes 6 to 18 months. There's no quick fix here, people. response to estrangement and repair of estrangement is a marathon. I'm sorry if that's not good news to you, but that's a fact. We're looking at baby steps. We're looking at intention, time, emotional investment, humility, making ourselves humble, knowing that we are not right in all things. We have made mistakes. Who hasn't? It is human. You are a human being. We are flawed. So I want you to consider your expectations of yourself. What are you expecting from yourself? If you're expecting perfection, we need to talk about that. If you think your adult child is expecting perfection, we need to talk about that. How do we get expectations to a position that it's realistic and reasonable? How do we build what I call a social bank account? How do we make some deposits of credibility, trust, support, respect in our relationship with our adult children, so when we make mistakes, and we are going to make mistakes, they can give us grace and get some time to repair, to make amends, to get ourselves back on track. So what might that look like? That might look like me getting into my daughter's business with my grandchildren's homework. Now, I have a career in education, so I might know a thing or two about education and how to help children learn. It simply isn't my relationship at that moment. It is not my role to walk in the room as an educator. I walk in the room as the parent to my adult child and to the grandchildren by virtue of access through my adult child, building the relationship with my grandchildren. These are the kinds of things that our adult children are looking for, that they base their perspective on. They listen to see if our tone changes. If we change our approach in language, if we bring a different energy into the room, it helps build social bank account deposits. They know when we are tense, frustrated, feeling insulted, hurt, sad, guilty. They know those things before we even open our mouths. Our adult children know us better than anyone else on the face of this planet. They can read us like a book. And if we think we're going to fool them, we are putting ourselves at risk. They need to know that we are going to model maturity and respect, and that we are going to mirror back for them the respect they ask for. We are going to respect those boundaries. And through patient, calm, mature response, those boundaries may become more flexible. We may be given more grace. Again, I want to remind you, I am talking really in one direction about our relationship and how our adult children perceive us, the work we need to do. I am not saying, I want to be really clear about this, I am not saying our adult children don't have work to do. They do. They do. They brought stuff to this estrangement too. What we can control is our own behavior, our own thoughts, our own actions. We can control the message that we give about the estrangement, this is an example, to other people in our family. Now, we can badmouth, complain, deliberate what's going on in our relationship with our adult child. But what's the downside of that? I'm here to tell you that builds a barrier for our adult children to come back, because they know, the word will get to them, that mom and dad are mad, that mom and dad say, whatever the issue is, I picked a bad partner, they think I'm not able to speak my mind, I'm being influenced by someone, I'm wasting money, I'm not good at my work. Whatever it is we are saying to other people, we'll get back to our adult children, and it creates a barrier. We're bad-mouthing them. We're throwing them under the bus. Now, we might be saying things that are true. It won't matter. The truth of it will not matter. What will matter is that we are speaking poorly of them. We need to watch our messaging about our adult child and our relationship with them to other people in the family, in our common circles, with people who they know from their childhood. What we write, what we say, what we laugh about, that all matters. So we need to reflect on that. Are we selling our children out when we're talking about the situation with other people? There are a couple of really good episodes on how to message our situation when we're asked. So I want to close by saying self-reflection is more than just insight. The rubber hits the road in how you integrate that into future actions, into your practice. As you learn to regulate, clarify, communicate calmly, you're rewriting the emotional blueprint between you and your adult child. You are creating a new way of communicating, demonstrating respect, and your own emotional maturity. There's no sprint here. This is a marathon. So I would encourage you, if you're going to start digging into this and putting some of these things in place, that you break it down into maybe 1 week increments or 1 month increments. This month, I'm going to really focus on removing sarcasm from my responses to people. I'm going to stop rolling my eyes. I'm going to pay attention to every time I roll my eyes in the Home Depot paint department. Rolling our eyes has been brought out in the Gallup polls research as the #1 discourteous behavior, the eye roll. Why? I mean, it seems so simple and innocent, right? Well, it's in front of other people, typically. It communicates to everybody who sees our face that we think whatever that person just did or said is ridiculous. We embarrass ourselves by doing it. We embarrass the person, and we pull everybody else into our business. It's hard to recover from that. Eye rolling is the #1 discourteous behavior. And so make that your first goal if you're an eye roller. Replace it with something else. Replace it with a mantra. That was a ridiculous thing they just said. And man, I hope that they can find their way through that. So recognize it, because otherwise you're going to roll your eyes. And then give them some grace. Offer some positivity. This is all internal dialogue, but it resets the meter for the people around us. People will notice. Our children will notice. So really focus on one thing at a time. Recognize your triggers, your boundaries, your expectations, whatever it is that you know you need to pull into focus and get a hold of, work on, react to differently. Your child will begin to understand and recognize that you're making changes. Good news travels slower than bad news, but good news does still travel. I want to remind you that your child doesn't need you to be perfect. They need to see that you're growing. They need to see that you are reflecting, taking information in, and doing something with it. That you are using the new insight, the new information, in your practice of communication, behavior, interaction. They need to know that you have listened, that you're acting on their behalf, and that you are doing your part. And then our hope, our goal is that they react in kind. And most often, I'm here to tell you, as often as 80% of the time, they begin to modify their behavior. Slow baby steps. Our role modeling and our action can lead to their decision to behave and trust us differently. I hope that you have gotten something out of this episode. I'm so grateful that you joined me and are considering this conversation. If you're interested in talking with me further one-on-one, please jump over to the When Our Adult Children Walk Away website and schedule an appointment with me. You're also welcome to email me directly at janet@jesteinkamp.com. It does take me up to 3 days to respond, and I do respond myself. That's partly why it takes a little while. If you've not heard from me in 3 weeks, then reach out again because something has gone wrong in the communication. I want to remind you that growth doesn't begin when the silence ends. Growth begins now. Remember, you are not alone.